Elephants on the fence and the chicken dance on the floor. Yeah, it was 25 years ago. Brisbane came of age doing this. That's the only way to look at it. And we start talking about Expo 88. A bit of tear starts to come into a lot of eyes. Blair Allsopp is a Brisbane greeter. He meets people, who takes them around and shows them things. And mate, you actually met your wife at Expo. It must be a very emotional time for you.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. It's quite a legacy that Expo has in Brisbane.
Yeah, and you live on a street where there's a few other people with the same story as you and your wife.
As we found out over the years of living there, as people move in and we meet them and chat with them, we find that there's lots of couples met through Expo.
Really?
Absolutely.
Was it the chicken dance that did it for you and your wife?
Yeah, probably.
No comment, mind your own business, Gary. Did you go to the ice cream pavilion, New Zealand pavilion a lot?
Actually, it was funny just waiting in the lobby coming in here. I asked a fellow out there what was his #1 memory of Expo, and it was like lining up at the New Zealand pavilion to get ice cream. So connoisseur ice cream was the big introduction for him.
Well, it was just an amazing time, and I detect an accent. You probably come from South Australia or somewhere like that, but I detect an accent. Obviously, it brought the world to Brisbane. Brisbane didn't need to travel that year. For 6 months, the world was here.
Absolutely. Actually, I get the impression that Expo was a time that people from Brisbane wanted to have the world here in Brisbane. And I think a lot of people at that time had traveled overseas, and they now wanted to bring those experiences that they had and recreate it here in Brisbane and show that Brisbane could, in fact, play on the same level field as other world-class cities. And people say that it is the time of the demarcation when Brisbane became a world-class city for so many of the locals here.
Yeah, I think it was the time we actually discovered the river, because I mean, when I moved here at the end of 1970, my family's an old Queensland family. We've been here since the 1840s, but I was a generation born elsewhere. We came back.
Right.
At that time, the river was on the other side of the corrugated iron tin shed at the bottom into Creek Street. That's parked on the wharf, you know.
Well, that's so true. Actually, the prelude to all this was, of course, the containerization of shipping. And suddenly all the wharfs had moved out to Fisherman's Island, and then all that real estate along the river opened up. And like you said, all the barriers between the residential areas and the river disappeared. And we had all this real estate. In fact, doing these greets, I often have people ask me, why is everything by the river so new? And it's because it's all been reclaimed in the last 20, 25 years.
Well, that's exactly right. So as a greeter, you get a chance to go around and gas bag about Brisbane to people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great thing to do. You meet the most wonderful people.
Do you?
Absolutely.
You meet some that aren't probably too, but I'm sure you enjoy it because they seek you out because of your passion, your knowledge about our city.
Well, but it goes both ways, because as we take people around and we're showing them the city from our knowledge of it, it's always fascinating, and it happens every greet that I do. The visitor will turn and ask me, why is this happening in Brisbane, or what does this mean here? And more often than not, you have to stop and think, well, I don't know.
You have to find out.
And you find out. And so you start seeing the city through their eyes. As we walk through the city every day, and you sort of become blind to it. But when a visitor comes, they have new eyes. They have fresh eyes to look at the city. And Brisbane continues, as you know, I've done hundreds of these greets. Yeah. It continues, as I said, every one. There will be something new will unveil itself to me in Brisbane. It's like peeling the onion. It's just layers upon layers of Brisbane.
Well, I mean, there's just so much history that doesn't get talked about. Here we are, 50 years after the Bee Gees were singing in the Speedway around Redcliffe. We finally tomorrow are going to have the statue of the Bee Gees as boys unveiled. That's outside of the city of Brisbane, but it's exciting for Brisbane when that sort of history brings some focus.
And then Brisbane's also very exciting too with the amount of public art that's in Brisbane.
Okay.
And for commemorating various different events and things that have happened in Brisbane, there's, I'm in downtown Brisbane, and you probably couldn't go more than about 20 meters in any direction without discovering a plaque that honors some piece of history or something that's happened somewhere in Brisbane. So there's a very, very rich history of it. And Expo is an interesting, because everybody in Brisbane has a reminiscence of Expo. But there really isn't a place for Expo other than the South Bank is where it happened. There's no monument. It's not like the Eiffel Tower in Paris or something. But when you get people and you ask them about Expo, they talk about the spirit of Expo. It's not so much about buildings and things. It's the vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting if you could do it, and somebody could do it. Find the map of World Expo 88. It's in that great book you brought in. But find that map of World Expo 88, transpose it over the top of the present-day South Bank, and go around and say, on this spot was the Australian Pavilion. On this spot was the New Zealand Pavilion. People would like to know where they were queuing up relevant to today.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we'll do in our greets with for the 25th anniversary of the Expo. We're going to be inviting visitors and locals to come down, and we'll take them through a walk, starting at the Visitor Information Centre at South Bank. We're going to go two different ways with it. We're going to go at the 10 o'clock walk. We're going to go in a clockwise direction, going out of the Visitor Information Centre down to the Nepalese Peace Centre, up and over the Kurumpa Bridge through the city, and ending up at the new Museum of Brisbane and the new City Hall renovations.
Fantastic.
And then at 1 o'clock we'll be going the other way, where we go down over the Goodwill Bridge, back through River Stage, and around to the city, and again ending at the museum.
So how do you book to go on those tours?
Through the Visitor Information Centres. There's actually two now. There's one at South Bank and the one at the Queen Street Mall.
Okay.
And they'll be running twice a day, 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock.
Are you charging for that?
No, they're free. They're free.
So there is something for nothing.
There is something for nothing. And actually, we're really looking for it, as we'll walk through, and we want people to share their stories with us, because I think that will be the richness of Expo, is the reminiscences and the stories that come out. There are pieces of art, and there's lots of things to look at as we do the walk, but I think the stories will be what will bring the richness to the
When do they start, Blair?
We start April 28th, and we'll run for 3 months.
Okay, so half the length of the Expo commemoration period.
That's right. Expo ran for 6 months,
Yeah.
but Basic Expo had about 100,000 people a day going through it. I don't think our tours are going to be limited to about 6 people on a tour. So we won't be anywhere near the crowds that you had at Expo.
No, okay. Well, either way, Visitor Information Centre, one caller's just suggested Stephen's Needle is the one landmark everyone still knows. It represents Expo.
That's true. That's true again, but it has moved. It's not on the Expo site. It's moved over.
Caught fire, it moved as well.
That's true. Yeah, and the Nepalese Peace Expo.
Yeah.
But it too has moved. It was actually at the south entrance, and today it's at the north end, where the north entrance was to it.
Grey Street was the entranceway. That's right.
Yeah, just in behind QPAC.
Yeah, all of that's true. Well, it's good to talk to you, sir. We might check in with you as you start these walking tours to see how they're going.
Sure. Maybe we can do a live cross, and I can walk you through as we go.
That'd be interesting too. All right, Blair. Good to see you.
Thanks, Gary.
Yes, Blair Allsopp met his wife. So did half his neighbourhood. It seems at Expo 88. You might have your own stories. 13 13 32.